Peace be upon you and Allah mercy and blessings. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Dear Mr. Examining Lectures, my respected Professor Dr. Puji Wahono, SA M.Si, and Ms. Rachmadania Firdausi as Thesis Supervisor. On this occasion, introduce Ariyana Nafisyah with student registration number 17096200016, Office Administration Education, Faculty of Economics 2020, who will present their research proposal entitled The Influence of Teacher Competence, Learning Environment, and Learning Motivation on Student Achievement at State Vocational High School, Fortis, Jakarta. Okay, Chapter 1, Background. Achievement is an achievement obtained by an individual or group due to a process they have gone through. So, achievement can be a measure of someone's success. Learning achievement is a measure of a person's success, which cannot be separated from the rule of quality education for each individual, because basically education is conscious, planned effort to create a quality life. According to Law Number 20 of 2003, Article 1, Paragraph 1, education is a conscious and planned effort to create a learning atmosphere and learning process so that students actively develop their potential to have religious, spiritual strength, self-control, personality, intelligence, noble character, and the necessary skill himself, society, nation, instinct. Okay, next, research. The data show that the first factor, namely teacher competence, has a percentage of 30%. The second factor, namely the learning environment, with a percentage of 24%. The third factor, which has a percentage of 23%, is learning motivation. Okay, next, problem formulation. First, is there a direct influence on teacher competency on the learning achievement of student at SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta? Second, is there direct influence of the learning environment on the learning achievement of student at SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta? And third, is there a direct influence of learning motivation on the learning achievement of student at SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta? And the last, is there an influence of teacher competence, learning environment, and learning motivation on the learning achievement of student at SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta? Okay, next, research purposes. First, the direct influence of teacher competence on the learning achievement of student at SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta. Second, the direct influence of the learning environment on the learning achievement of student at SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta. Third, the direct influence of learning motivation on the learning achievement of student at SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta. And fourth, the influence of teacher competence, learning environment, and learning motivation on the learning achievement of student at SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta. Okay, next, benefit of research. Theoretically, basically, this research was carried out with the hope that it could provide benefits for all parties. And next, for school, research is used as a guide for each school in improving learning achievement by focusing on factors that can improve learning achievements, such as teacher competence, learning environment, and learning motivation. For Jakarta State University, This research can be used as reference to literature and educational studies for students at Jakarta State University regarding the influence, competence, learning environment, and learning motivation on learning achievement. And the last part for researchers. Researchers can increase their ability to conduct research and can increase knowledge and insight. Okay, next, theoretical basis. A variable 1, teacher competency, according to law of the Republic of Indonesia number 14 of 2005 concerning teachers and lecturers. Competency is a set of knowledge, skill, and behavior that must be possessed, internal, and controlled by teacher or lecturer in carrying out professional duties. Okay, next variable 2, learning environment. According to the Manik 2019, the learning environment is a teaching and learning process that influence successful learning achievement and improve student development. Okay, next, motivation to learn. Variable 3, motivation to learn grow naturally from within and grows due to stimulation from external parties such as parents, teacher, and the environment. Astriani, 2019. And the last learning achievement variable J, according to Barokah and Yulianto, 2019, student learning achievement is the result of measuring students' abilities after participating in learning. Okay, next, relevant research. The following is research that has been carried out regarding the problem under study. First, the influence of teacher competence, learning motivation, and learning environment in academic subject from study 2016. Variable teacher competence, learning motivation, and learning environment. Research method, quantitative. Sampling technique area, proportional random sampling. Conclusion, the research result show that teacher competence, learning motivation, and learning environment have a positive effect on learning achievement with a percentage of 43.1%. Second, the influence of the learning environment and learning motivation on student learning achievement case study of class 11 students at SMK Telkom Bandung from Widya Stuti. A third, effect of competence, teacher and student learning environment, program and student achievement like visual engineering from Brihandoro et al. 2019. For the influence of teacher competence, study learning motivation, and learning facilities on learning achievement in academic subject at SMK Negeri 1 lesson from Inaya et al. 2013. A variable teacher competence, learning motivation and learning environment, research method, quantitative, sampling techniques, simple random sampling, and conclusion, the research results show that the variables of teachers' competence and learning motivation have a direct positive effect on learning achievement with a percentage of 40.9%. Okay, next, and the last, the influence of learning motivation and learning style on the academic learning achievement of state high school student in Tuban City from Dharmawati 2013. The variable learning motivation and learning achievement, research method, quantitative, sampling technique, simple random sampling, and the last conclusion, As a base on this research, the result of the F test based on the ANOVA test or F statistical tests show that learning motivation and learning style significantly influence learning achievement. Okay, next, theoretical framework. Research conducted by Sutadi 2016 show that there is a positive influence of teacher competence, learning motivation, and learning environment on student learning achievement in academic subject. Furthermore, previous research by Vidyastuti et al. 2021 showed that the learning environment and learning motivation have a positive and significant influence on learning achievement. The influence of teacher competence, student learning motivation, and learning facilities on learning achievement in academics subject at SMK Negeri 1 Lasem from Inayah et al. 2013 showed that there is a positive direct influence of teacher competence variable, learning motivation, and learning environment on learning achievement in academic subject. Next is the research constellation. In the picture, it is shown that there are four hypotheses. The first is teacher competency, the second is the learning environment, and the third is learning motivation, where the three variables mentioned are the independent variables, and finally learning achievement is the dependent variables. Okay, next, hypothesis development. Hypothesis 1. There is a direct influence of teacher competence on the learning achievement of student at SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta. Hypothesis 2. There is a direct influence of the learning environment on the learning achievement of student at SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta. Hypothesis 3. There is a direct influence of learning motivation on the learning achievement of student at SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta. And the last, hypothesis 4, there is a direct influence of teacher competence, learning environment, and learning motivation on the learning achievement of student at SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta. Okay, next, research method. First, research place. State Vocational School for Jakarta. In Jalan Nanas 2, Hutan Kayu Utara, Matraman, RT 9 RW 10, Hutan Kayu Utara, Matraman, is Jakarta City, Special Capital Region of Jakarta, 13120. A second, data collection technique, quantitative methods. Data collection use questionnaires or questionnaires with a Likert scale model, and the last population and sample. Population student at
178.
SMKN 40 Jakarta are next research method, data analyze technique. In this research, data analyze technique were carried out using PET analyze technique to test the hypothesis that will be proposed in this research. The model suitability analyze technique use a structural equation modeling or SEM, which is operated using smart PLEs 4.0.8.5 software. Respondent profile description. The purpose of descriptive data analysis is to understand the characteristic or condition of the respondents who are the sample in this study. In this research, the research distribute a questionnaire using Google Form to 123 students of SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta. There are two classifications of respondents made by the research, namely 1. Respondent profile based on gender. Based on the table above, it can be concluded that the characteristic of the respondent from SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta, as seen from the gender of the respondent, are predominantly female, with 88 students representing 72%. And male respondents totaling 35 students, accounting for 28%. 2. Respondent profile based on major. In the accounting major, there were 24 respondents with a percentage of 19.5%. In the retail business major, there were also 24 respondents with a percentage of 19.5%. In the communication design major, there were 50 respondents with a percentage of 41%, and in the software engineering major, there were description of data profile. Descriptive analysis is a type of data analysis used to provide an overview of data distribution, making it easier to understand and analyze the data. The research conducted descriptive analysis using Microsoft Excel and the Smart PLS application. From this analysis, we can later determine the highs and lows score of the indicator in influencing the research variable. In this study, the number of statements for the learning achievement variable is 13 statements. For the teacher competence variable is 16 statements. For the learning environment variable is 11 hikes. Average score is found in the test result indicator with a percentage of 28.89%. In the indicator of knowledge mastery, the high score obtained is 0.846 on the fourth statement item, which states, "I have no interest in subject I do not like," meaning that some students only have an interest in subject they like and consider easy, while other subjects they do not like will be regarded likely and taught with indifference, which means that most students do not have interest or motivation to learning. Interest or motivation is absent in students due to various factors, such as monotonous learning, the teacher less creative and innovative teaching methods, or the laziness that excess with the student can reduce their interest in learning. Students lack the motivation that all subjects will support their academic grades, so when they feel this lack or lack of interest in subject they do not like, it will affect their overall grades during learning. With awareness that second, calculation of the teacher competency indicator score X1, the average result of the indicator score calculation above show that the highest average score is found in the professional competence indicator with a percentage level of 25.68. present in the professional competency indicator, the highest score of 0.910 was obtained on the second statement item, which stated, "My teacher doesn't develop learning material with innovative learning." This means that most students feel that teachers at school are not innovative in implementing learning, relying only on exciting theory without real practice, which makes most students feel that learning is ineffective and monotonous, leading to a lack of interest in learning. Third, calculation of the learning environment indicator score X2. The average score calculation result above indicate that the high average score is found in the school environment indicator with a percentage of 36.43%. In the family environment indicator, the high score is 0.916 for the first statement item, which is stated, "My parents always accompany me when I study or do homework at home." This means that most students are the harmonious family environment and their parents' attention can help facilitate the learning process for the children. Some parents of students play a good role in accompanying their children when studying at home, thus help them when they encounter difficulties learning. Learning assistants will have a positive impact on children because they will feel that their parents love and pay attention to them. Students will also always be confident because of the trust given by their parents will accompany them in their study. Conversely, if students learn without a parental assistance, they will feel that their parents are indifferent to their learning development, leading to a sense of laziness due to the lack of attention to the child. 4. Calculation of the score for the learning motivation indicator X3. The average score calculation result above indicate that the highest average score is found in the indicator of resilience in facing difficult, with a percentage of 24.62%. In the indicator of diligence in learning, the highest score obtained is 0.879 on the third statement item, which states, "I increase my study hours when I receive low grades," meaning that some students strive to do their best to achieve good grades in school. Increasing study hours is not easy, and their peers who are only busy playing, their determination to be the best in school is commendable, especially when they feel challenged to study hard when their grades are low. This indicates that their diligence in learning and maintaining good grades in school is very positive. 1. Analysis of measurement model and structural model. A. Analysis of measurement model, outer model. Testing on the outer model includes convergent validity, discriminant validity, average extract or AV, composite reliability, and converged alpha. 1. Convergent validity. Validity in this research can be seen from the loading factor for each statement. A statement is considered valid if it achieves a value of 0.7 or higher. Video explanation. The function of the loading factor value is to assist in interpreting the analyzed result. A high loading factor value indicates that the statement contributes significantly, while a low loading factor value below 0.7 indicate that statement in this research is not valid. Invalid statement need to be dropped or removed. Based on the result of the loading factor in the table above, it can be concluded that all indicators of the construct of the teacher competence, learning motivation, learning environment, learning motivation, and learning achievement variable have values then greater than 0.7, which means that the indicator of all variables meet the validity requirement. 2. Discriminant validity. Discriminant validity measures the extent to which a construct can be empirically distinguished from the other construct. The value of the gross loading factor plays a very important role in analysis whether a construct has adequate discrimination by comparing the loading values with those of other constructs. A higher loading value indicates that the indicator is more suitable for explaining the intended construct than for explaining other constructs. Based on the result of the discriminant validity test in the table above, it can be seen that the construct value is greater when compared to the gross loading value of other constructs. Discriminant validity can be changed by looking at the EV value. The EV value measures how much variance of the construct is successfully extracted by its indicator. The function of the EV value is to measure how well a construct is represented by its indicator. The testing requirement for using EV can be considered valid if the value obtained is then greater 0.5. Composite reliability is a measure where a reliability value of greater than 0.7 indicates that the construct has a high reliability value. The purpose of testing composite reliability is to prove that the variable is accurate, consistent, and that the research instrument accurately measure the construct. In addition to observing the composite reliability score, a construct is considered reliable if it has a converge alpha value of greater than 0.7. This means that the construct has good reliability. The purpose of the structural measurement model or inner model in the research is to measure the extent to which the variables being studied influence each other. The results observed in this inner model are based on the percentage of variance obtained through several assessments such as R-square, F-square, and FEF. 1. R-square. The R-square value represents the percentage that indicates how much the independent variable collectively influence the dependent variable. Its value aims to see how much of the ratio of the dependent latent variable can be explained by the independent latent variables. F-square. F-square is a measure of the extent of direct influence on the dependent latent variable, and F-square value of 0.35 large, 0.15 medium, and 0.2 small. The F-square test can measure the effect on latent variable against other variable. 3. FEF is a test used to evaluate how strong the correlation level is between one variable and other. 2. Hypothesis testing. A. Direct effect analysis. Bad coefficient analysis to test the hypothesis of the direct effect between the independent construct and the dependent construct. In hypothesis testing, it can be determined through the statistic value obtained from testing bad coefficient, wherein the t-test and can be known from the t-test statistic value and p-value. If the statistic greater than the table or p less than 0.05 with a 5% level at the table of 1.96. H1. The competence of teacher has a significant and positive direct influence on learning achievement based on the result of the PET coefficient calculation in the table above on the variable. The teacher's competence toward learning achievement obtained an original sample result of 0.129, while the statistic value is 1.971 greater than 1.96. Furthermore, the p-value obtained is 0.049 less than 0.05. Thus, it can be stated that the teacher competence has a significant and positive direct effect on learning achievement. Therefore, it can be stated that the teacher competence has a significant and positive direct effect on learning achievement. So, H1 in this study is accepted. The result of the study indicate that teacher competence has a positive influence on the learning achievement of students at SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta. The more students are willing to improve their competence, which is lacking, and maintain as well as enhance the competence they already possess, the higher the learning achievement of students at SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta will be. The research conducted by Inayah and Wahono 2013 state that the variable of teacher competence has a positive and significant effect on learning achievement. This finding is evidenced by a significance value of 0.000 greater than 0.5. H2. The learning environment has a significant and positive direct influence on learning achievement based on the result of the PET coefficient calculation in the table above. The variable of the learning environment has an original sample result of 0.568 for its effect on learning achievement, while the t-statistic is 12.276 greater than 1.69. Furthermore, the p-value is 0.000 less than 0.05. Therefore, it can be stated that the learning environment has a significant and positive direct effect on learning achievement. Therefore, it can be stated that the learning environment has a significant and positive direct effect on learning achievement. Thus, H2 in this study is accepted. Next, B. Analysis of indirect effect. The analysis of indirect effect aims to test the hypothesis of the indirect influence of an independent variable on the dependent variable. H4. Teacher competence, learning environment, and learning motivation have a significant indirect effect on learning achievement. Based on the result of the PET coefficient calculation in the table above, the variable of teacher competence, learning environment, and learning motivation have an original sample value of 0.293, while the statistic value furthermore the value. Therefore, it can be stated that teacher competence, learning environment, and learning motivation indirectly have a significant effect on learning achievement. Therefore, it can be stated that teacher competence, learning environment, and learning motivation indirectly have a significant effect on learning achievement. So, H4 in this study can be accepted. Next, chapter 5 is closing 1. Conclusion. After analyzing the research data regarding the influence of teacher competence, learning environment, and learning motivation on student achievement at SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta, It can be concluded: 1. There is a significant and positive direct influence of teacher competence on student achievement. Thus, it can be stated that each one is accepted. This means that the desire of teacher to improve the comprehension of those who are lacking, as well as to maintain and enhance the competence they already possess. To hike the student achievement at SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta will be 2. There is a significant and positive direct influence of the learning environment on student academic achievement. Thus, it can be said that H2 is accepted. This means that the better, healthier, and more conducive the learning environment created at school, at home, and in the community. The higher the academic achievement of students at SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta. 3. There is a significant and positive direct influence of learning motivation on students' academic achievement. Thus, it can be stated that H3 is accepted. The more numbers, good and appropriate the guidance and encouragement from teachers to students, the higher the motivation that will grow well within the student. If the motivation within the student increase, then their academic achievement will also improve. 4. There is a significant and positive indirect influence of teacher competence, learning environment, and learning motivation on student academic achievement. Thus, it can be stated that H4 is accepted. To better the competition of teacher, the learning environment, and the motivation to learn in the student educational life, the more the academic achievement of students at SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta will improve. 2. Implication. Based on the conclusion that have been presented, there are several implications derived from the research result. 1. In the variable of academic achievement with the indicator of knowledge mastery at a percentage level of 28.89%, in the test result indicator, the high score obtained is 0.849 on statement item number 14, which states, I always take subjects that are easy for me likely. This means that most students take likely the subject they find easy, but the arrogance of the student makes them reluctant to learn more and want to know more about the subjects. The subject that they consider easy will lead students to not appreciate the learning process or even the teacher, as they are seen as less challenging and less interest to study. A solution that teachers can use is to make the lessons about not so easy to learn so that both the teacher and the subject are respected by the student. Teachers can also provide stimulation in the form of practice questions and daily tests to refresh what has already been learned by the student. Additionally, teacher can offer several engaging methods so that students do not easily get bored during the learning process. 2. In the variable of teacher competence with the indicator of professional competence at a percentage level of 25.68% in indicator of professional competence. The highest score obtained is 0.910 on statement number 2, which state, "My teacher doesn't develop learning materials with innovative teaching," meaning that the majority of students feel that the teachers at school are not innovative in carrying out the learning process. Teachers relying solely on exciting theories without real practice makes most students feel that learning is ineffective and monotonous, leading to lack of interest in learning. A solution that can be provided for teachers in school to use several latest technologies to develop learning materials, such as quiz-making application, so that students feel more challenged for the next learning session. Teachers can also invite students to brainstorm in small groups to bring out the creative side that is hidden within the student, providing space for students to create, express their ideas, and note critics during the learning discussion. This method can build student enthusiasm, and learning will be more lively because teachers involve students in very learning process. 3. In the variable of the learning environment with the indicator of the school environment. The percentage level is 36.42% in the school environment indicator. The highest score it obtained is 0.902 on statement item number 7, which states that my parents pay more attention to me when I'm in trouble. This means that the relationship among students at school is very harmonious. Action for each student, and also by fostering a sense of brotherhood and strengthening the relationship among students through group tests and encouraging students to always work together in every activity at school. 4. In the variable of learning motivation with the indicator of perseverance in facing difficulties, the percentage is 24.62% in the indicator of perseverance in facing difficulties. The highest score is 0.875 on statement item number 5, which states that I always strive to achieve the target grades I desire. This means that some studies have their own target regarding their grades. They certainly have high motivation in learning because the target they have require a well thought out learning plan, which make the student progress further into learning process. As a teacher, one can monitor the progress of students by conducting assessment and evaluation periodically, such as giving assignment daily basis and project that help students achieve their target. Teacher can also encourage students to create mind maps of their work that contain not only lessons they understand so that students can review their learning at home. Additionally, the teacher can create a pleasant learning atmosphere and healthy competition among students so that students feel challenged to continue learning and mastering the materials. Next, limitation of the research. In its implementation, the research found several limitations, so this research needs to be refined with subsequent studying. The research realized that there are still many shortcomings in the research conducted, namely, 1. This research can be re-examined using other independent variables such as learning interest, self-regulation, learning facilities, learning discipline, learning styles, and study habit to better understand the factors that influence students' learning achievement. 2. This research can also be examined with the same independent variables but with different dependent variables to understand other aspects that may be influenced by teacher competence, learning environment, and student learning motivation. This research only uses a quantitative approach by distributing questionnaires. The limitations of time and effort in conducting this research prevent the research from conducting a more in-depth study. 4. Recommendation. Based on the conclusion, implication, and limitation of the research that have been explained above, the researcher provides suggestions that are expected to serve as a reference for future research as follows. When academically, A. For the Faculty of Economics at Universitas Negeri Jakarta, this research is expected to provide benefit for the renewal of knowledge for lecture and academics, especially within the Faculty of Economics at the State University of Jakarta, based on related topics such as teacher competence, learning environment, learning motivation, and learning achievement. For SMK Negeri 40 Jakarta, it is hoped that this research can be useful for the school, especially in improving student learning achievement through the competencies possessed by teachers, the role of teacher in engaging students' learning motivation, and the role of the school in maintaining a conducive environment and creating a comfortable school atmosphere for students. 2. Practically, A. In the variable of learning achievement, she adds no that the loss percentage is 20 to 84%, which is the indicator of knowledge mastery. The statement within the low score is 0.738 on item number 2, which states, I do not ask questions when there is an explanation. That is difficult to understand. This means that when students do not feel interest in the learning process taking place at home due to a lack of motivation and interest and learning among students. The laziness likely arises from a lack of communication between teachers and students, as well as a lack of engaging teacher methods that make students easily bored while learning. Solutions that can be implemented include teacher providing comfort to students through active interaction during lessons, but teachers also developing creative and engaging teacher methods so that students are not lazy to learn, and teachers can also boost students' enthusiasm by providing evaluation in the form of ice-breaking activities or quizzes related to the material being studied, so that students have motivation so that students are not lazy to learn, and teachers can also boost students' enthusiasm by providing evaluation in the form of ice-breaking activities or quizzes related to the material being studied, so that students have motivation while learning. B. In the teacher competence variable x1, it's known that the loss percentage is 24.28%, which is the social competence indicator. The statement with the low score is 0.798 on item number 9, which states, my teacher provided examples of image or video display during lesson. This means that most students are interested in teachers whose teaching methods are engaging and innovative, namely using educational video that make students curious for the next lesson. C. In the learning environment variable x2, it's known that the loss percentage is 27.82%, which is the indicator of the family environment. The statement which the loss score is 0.720 on question number 4, which states my parents always put pressure on me to get good grades in school. That This means that most students do not feel comfortable pursuing education at home, one of which is the pressure from parents, as most parents only send them to school without providing guidance and teaching at home. Students feel that good grades are a measure of their success, while poor grades are seen as their failure as students. A class D in the variable of learning motivation extra is known that the loss percentage is 17.07%, which is the indicator of achievement in learning. The statement with the low score is 0.723 on question number 16, which states I leave my notebook behind and do not ask my friend when I miss a lesson, meaning that most students tend to leave their notebook empty and are feel like to us when they fall behind in lesson for any reason. Motivation that is not sudden make them lazy to learn, especially if they have fallen far behind. And this, if this is allowed to continue, this laziness will lead to children being reluctant to go to school and lazy to learn. The solution is to always pay attention to the psycho and psychology well-being of students, maintain communication and interaction both inside and outside the classroom. Okay, that's what I can explain regarding my research proposal. I believe constructive critique and suggestion can be a guide for me in the next stage of work. I thank you and I apologize if there are any errors in the presentation that I delivered. That's all from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.